Welcome to Embracing Infinity, exploring the infinite oneness in the space of love and truth. Host Jennifer Rose is an international spiritual medium, healer, channeler, mentor, and transformational guide. Her focus is encouraging individuals to know themselves within the lens of their divine heart and highest potential, to evolve within the frequency of love and peaceful harmony. Now, here's your host, Jennifer Rose.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Embracing Infinity, and we are on the Sacred Spiral Network. How is everybody doing here today? I'm very happy to see you all coming on for our beautiful discussion on past life regression miracles coming up in just a few minutes with my special guest, Hiba. Looking very forward to this conversation we have coming up ahead to share with all of you here this afternoon and this evening. I wanted to just check in with you on the eclipse that we had last night. I was driving home from a private circle. I left a little bit early, and I realized why I left early because I thought I had a lot of work to still catch up on. And then I realized I looked over out my window and I'm like, why does the moon look so funny? And then I was like, oh, that's right, there's an eclipse tonight. And I was able to watch it changing throughout the whole drive home. So it was absolutely fascinating. And like many of you, I felt profoundly moved and emotional at the experience and just awestruck at the wonder of the universe and nature. And it moved me on such a visceral level that it's hard to put into words, as I'm sure you are all understanding as well. And hello to everybody who's joining us and coming on here today. So, but just kind of fun to share that with you here today. One quick announcement: this coming on Monday, on the Monday night lineup after Inner Realms Outer Journeys and Be in the Light with Brian Lahr, is my sister show, The Love Show, at 6 p.m. Pacific. And we have our lovely and fabulous producer of the network, Kelly Brickle. We're going to be doing some more soul synastry numerology, and we've got some exciting things planned for that as well. So please do join us this coming Monday. I know that was very well received the last time she was on. And so we've got even more cooking for all of you here today. And one more thing that I wanted to also bring to your attention, everybody, is I am aware that the energies with the eclipse and all of the retrogrades, I know our lovely Jennifer McCormick is here. You probably have a better list of everything that's happening. And a full moon, all of this happening at once has been pretty intense energetically for a lot of people. It's felt very soupy and shadowy, and it's been an interesting thing to watch and try to feel, but not get too pulled into, if you understand what I'm saying with that too. But my advice to people who have been kind of coming to me and talking about what they're feeling emotionally with these energies is, let's just kind of lay low for a few more days until it passes. And then you can kind of move on and see what you want to do or what decisions you want to make and so forth. So I thought I'd kind of pass that along to all of you in case you're like kind of, holding on to your table or your chair there, kind of going, oh no, this has been a lot. We're all quite sensitive here in the spiritual community. So we're going to be feeling the energies, of course, as well too. And yes, Miss Jennifer McCormick, hello, sweetheart. Good to see you. Definitely a lot of energy as well too. Hello to Miss Kathleen Connor. Great to see you too. And there's our friend Brian Lahr, and it was amazing. It was just so amazing. Hard to put into words, but a lot of us were like, just wow. So I see our friend Arnie Layton is here too. Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. And Miss Heidi Gohl from Colorado. Great to see you too, beautiful. Thanks for always sharing out as you do. Hello, beautiful Sarah. Good to see you too. Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. And our friend Jeffrey, good to see you too, my friend. Nice to see you back. And next week's settle, September 9th through 12th. Crazy. How fun. Yay. Buckle up, everybody. All right. And the lovely Elaine Stainton from the UK is here as well too. Love to see you, Elaine, too. She's a fabulous medium over in the UK, and we just love her too. So, and James Fernelli, great to see you. Love and light to you too, my friend. So welcome, everybody. So happy that you're all here. Okay, my friends. Well, we've got good energy to work with here now that we're all so awestruck by this lovely eclipse that we've been experiencing here today. So let me go ahead and get started with you all. Can unlocking memories from past lives completely heal your present reality? In this episode of Embracing Affinity, we're sitting down with Hiba, an incredible intuitive healer and the founder of Hiba Healing House. We're diving deep into the profound power of guided hypnosis, quantum past life regressions, and the unbelievable real-life miracle stories she has witnessed firsthand in her practice. Today, discover how connecting with your higher self can unlock hidden wisdom, heal deep-rooted blocks, and activate your own infinite inner healing potential. Hiba is the founder of Hiba Healing House, a holistic healing space dedicated to bringing mind, body, and soul into greater balance. An intuitive healer, past life regression expert, and certified practitioner across a range of healing modalities, Hiba combines higher self-guidance, hypnosis, energy work, and spiritual practices to support personal transformation and well-being. Through her work, she helps individuals reconnect with themselves, navigate life transitions, and unlock their own inner healing potential. You can find Hiba on her website at hibahealing.house, on Instagram at Hiba Healing House, on Facebook at Hiba Healing House, and on TikTok at Hiba Healing House. She made it nice and easy for all of us there. So without further ado, I'm seeing her down backstage, but she's having internet issues. So I'm going to talk for just a few more minutes with y'all. Okay. All right, my friends. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. One of my past lives, Joseph, son of Jacob, who later became Imhotep. Well, how cool is that, James? Thank you for sharing that with us. What a wonderful story. I love that. Okay, there she is. All right. Made it.
Sorry, I am in Lebanon, so you need to get used to these things here, unfortunately.
I know.
I panicked. I called my nephew. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I think we're good. I think we're good. I hope we're good.
That's okay. If you disappear, you'll come back. So it's okay. I have you. We have you. So yeah, Hiba is joining us from Lebanon, and I think it's about 2 a.m. there, if I've got that.
No, it's actually 10 p.m. I counted. I kind of mixed it up. It's 10 p.m. So we're good.
I was
still fully awake. I'm still fully awake.
10 isn't so bad. I was wondering. I was like, that seems really late.
No, yeah, I was converting from US to here because I just came back. I'm still jet lagged, so I can't even tell you. I'm still like everything is still mixed up right now.
I'm glad we got you before midnight and you didn't have to stay up so late.
Oh, I told you I have a birthday party there, all celebrating. I'll catch up when I'm done. So
beautiful. Well,
everybody's excited about the show. Everybody got the link. They're all going to be watching. So this is super fun.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that too. I'm loving that you have so much support. And thank you for taking the time out of your evening to be with all of us here today.
Thank you for having me.
We're very happy to have you here. You and I have known each other for a long time, and you've garnered a lot of spiritual practices along the way on your journey. And I know one of them that we wanted to focus on today was you have all these wonderful stories about your past life regression work. Would you mind sharing a little bit? I'm understanding probably most people know what that is, but just in case we have any people watching that don't, what that means and how it works, and then we can get into some stories.
Okay, so basically we all have had life after life after life. Some of us, and I'm sure you've heard the expression old soul. So when you talk to somebody and they're an old soul, meaning they're wiser beyond their years, or sometimes you look at a child and you see wisdom in their eyes that, or they come up with expressions and you're like stunned, like how would they know that? Or why would they say that? These are old souls. And old soul basically had more lives than other souls. There are souls that are newer souls that maybe they've had like fewer souls. So it's the same soul that keeps coming back over and over. So the way I like to look at it, our body is like, I like to compare it to a horse, and the soul comes and rides the horse. And then when the horse gets old and dies, the spirit is left, which is what you so beautifully communicate with. And the soul moves on to learn the next lesson or lessons in the next life. Now, I am a big follower of Dolores Cannon, because I also practice
Mm.
QHHT, which is like a
Yes.
higher level of past life regression. And I
Yes.
love when she says, you can repeat a class, but you cannot skip a class. Meaning, if you come to this life and you have a lesson to learn, if you don't learn it, you cannot say, well, oh, well, you're going to have to come back and learn it again, your soul, that is. And it'll be harder every time until you learn the lesson. So you cannot skip the lesson, but you can repeat it over and over. And that's what we do. The reason we keep coming back over and over is because, before we come in, as we have contracts, and we come and we choose the lessons we want to learn in this life. Now, whether we do or not, that's up to us and our free will on planet Earth. So when we do past life regression, there are things that we struggle with in this life that we don't understand. Or sometimes there are things that can be resolved, and with all due respect to doctors and the medical body and all that,
Mhm.
but you can resolve it through past life regression. Now, if I can give a very easy example, and that's the example I give the most because it's straightforward. So I had a client who came to me. She was severely claustrophobic. Okay. Now, with claustrophobia, people usually say, "Well, I am claustrophobic." It's like a matter of, "Oh, well, it is what it is." No, it's not. You can live a full life, not be claustrophobic, not have to struggle with that if we deal with it. Now, sometimes in a past life regression, they don't go back to a past life. They actually go back to when they were infants, or babies, or maybe in womb. Or so it's we I usually start with a past life regression, but your higher self will take you back to the place you need to go. But with that particular lady, she went back to a previous life, and she was in Egypt, and she was a worker, by the pyramids. And it's so interesting. This is like between parentheses. Every time I talk about past lives, people think they have one, and they always say, "Oh, I was told I was Cleopatra. I was told." Nobody's ever been told they're anything but royalty. The fact is, we may have been royalties, and we may have been beggars, and we may have been workers. And so you go through different walks of life, and we were male and we were female. I had a past life done on me where I was a bird, and it was fascinating. And I had one where I was part of a planet, and that's called the resting life, because I don't move. I just, like, I'm a stagnant object, so there's a lot. It is like such a fascinating work for me, because no two experiences are the same. So going back to that lady, she was a worker, and she was working inside the pyramid, and she ended up being buried alive. So when that happens, what I do is I work on them in that past life. And then you have to imagine that they are visiting the life, they're in hypnosis, they can hear me perfectly. We are communicating like you and I are, but they're in a relaxed state. But you see the emotions on them. You see them go through it. You see them cry. You see them, start, hyperventilating, or you see them get emotional. And that's how you know that they know that when they wake up, they know that this is them, but it's not who they are in this life. So when she was buried alive, she couldn't breathe, obviously. And that was carried over in this life. So when I work with her in that particular life, and sometimes I have to actually tell them, if it gets to be a very intense experience, I actually tell them, you don't have to be a participant. You can step aside and just be an observer of what's happening to you, because you don't want them to get traumatized, even if it's only during hypnosis. So I kind of try to alleviate whatever they're going through. And sometimes they go, "No, I just want to stay. This is me." So it's up to them. But then before I bring them out, I make sure to, in hypnosis, you give commands to the brain. So I make sure to say, this was an experience that we're going to leave in the past, because it is in the past, and we leave it in the past. And we thank, our higher self that showed us that and all that stuff. So when they come out, they're not carrying that trauma with them, because the idea is to get rid of trauma, is not to carry more trauma. So they will remember it, but when they're telling you about it, they may get a little emotional because it's a real experience, but they don't feel like, oh my God, I couldn't shake it. I've never had anybody tell me anything, but that was amazing. Thank you. I feel much better. That's the feedback a few days after. So when she came out of hypnosis, obviously at that time we can't tell anything, but I got a message later that she wasn't claustrophobic anymore. So this is an example. I had the same experience with allergies, but that did not take me to a previous life. That took me to a time where that lady was an infant, literally like a couple months old. And they were at a dinner. And if you are a few months old, doesn't mean that you don't notice your environment. So that baby noticed a painting on the wall. She described it to me at the time, and that painting was more abstract and all that. And she was scared of it for whatever reason. That scared her, and because she was afraid, she started like not having trouble breathing, but like because she's scared. And there was a cat there, and everybody starts saying, "Oh my God, she's allergic to the cat. She's allergic to the cat." So when she grew up, she was allergic to cats because
Yeah.
that was embedded in the subconscious mind. So when we were working on the allergies, and we're going back to a previous life, she was a baby in this life. So I can't control where they go. I usually leave it to the higher self to take them wherever it's needed the most to deal with that particular issue. So when we dealt with that, she wasn't allergic to cats. She went through that traumatic experience as a baby. So we dealt with that, and she wasn't allergic to cats anymore. It's just fascinating.
That is fascinating.
It is. I can tell you
Yeah, and
stories all day long. I love what
I
I do. I
bet
just love it so
yes.
much.
I bet
Yeah.
you can. Oh my goodness. And what a gift, because these are some things like being claustrophobic and allergies, very hard to treat, very hard to
Yes.
cure,
Yes.
right? And to know that
One
there is
thing
this option.
I want to emphasize on, because past life regression is done through hypnosis. Hypnosis is something that is amazingly helpful. The hard part in it is that if you come to me, and I've had clients who come to me and say, I'll give it a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I won't do the session because I don't like to give sessions where I know it's going to be a failure. I'm not here to waste their time or their money.
Mhm,
So if it's not
mhm,
going to work, I'm very straightforward. So if you're going to come to me and try it out, don't do it. If you don't know that you're, first of all, that you are going to give full control to somebody that you hopefully trust. So I tell everybody I meet, whether it's with me or somebody else, never do any type of hypnosis with somebody you don't fully trust, because that person needs to be very intuitive, to pick their
mhm,
words, to know what to say, to follow you where you're going, and all that stuff. So if you're trying, that means that you're not telling your brain this is gonna work. It's not gonna work. So the whole
mm,
idea is for you to understand what it's about, understand what hypnosis is to begin with, which is just asking your conscious mind to step aside for a little bit and allow me to address your subconscious mind, right? But
mhm.
that doesn't mean, like in the movies, that I can ask you to take your clothes off and run naked in the street. These are Hollywood movies. This is dramatizing, right? This is the worst case scenario, or there's worse. But no, you are in full control. So your conscious mind that's sitting guard, if I hear something that goes against your values, that goes against your beliefs, that makes you feel uncomfortable, that makes you feel threatened, your conscious mind will jump in and say, hey, I don't like this, I'm leaving. And you can just go.
Mhm.
See, the
Ah,
misconception of it is what does not allow the full experience to happen sometimes.
mm,
So, as a facilitator, I can do the best I can, but there is, as with any type of healing, I'm sure like any healing you do, if the person's not open to healing or not open to receiving healing, it's not going to work no matter how much you try. So, but
mhm.
with hypnosis, it's even more because you have to consciously accept the fact that, what, I trust you and this is what I need to happen and I'm fully on board. So
Okay.
I think that is the hardest part of the whole experience.
So you need to have trust in your practitioner, and then you also have
Yes,
to
absolutely.
understand
Absolutely.
that you're still in control the whole time. So
Yes, that's
those
why
two things
before
are
I give
important.
sessions, I always allow my
Mhm.
client to ask any question they want to ask. I ask them, if they had previous experience with hypnosis. I ask them if they've had any past life regressions before. I understand where they're coming from, and I make it very clear, because you don't want to set them up for, oh, nothing happened, or, I mean, you want to give them the best you can. You want to do the best you can. You want to let them feel better after they have a session with you. And if as a practitioner with experience, if you see there's an obstacle, it doesn't mean it's over. You can address it, and you can just discuss it with them. So I always allow like extra time in the beginning
Mhm.
to make sure that
Yeah.
I have a good candidate. And then I allow extra time after, because they'll have plenty of questions. Like sometimes you
Yeah.
get more than you bargained for. Sometimes you heal something extra that you were not planning on. And it's like, oh my God, I saw this, and this happened in my life. And you have to kind of, help them connect the dots and understand what that meant in their life and all that. So it's just, I'm telling you, no two sessions are the same. It's fascinating.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Um,
Yeah.
I have a question, because you talked about how like the stuff in the movies, and I remember when I was
Yeah.
younger, there was a theme park, and on Halloween they always had like an outdoor stage with a bunch of places to sit, and they had a hypnotist come on, and he
Yes.
would try to
Yes.
hypnotize a crowd and bring them on stage, but some of them were
Yes.
doing silly
Yes.
things.
Okay. I've seen
Was
that
that
in
an
Vegas.
act,
Okay.
or
No,
yeah?
no, no, no. It's not an act. Let me tell you what that is.
Oh,
If you
okay.
remember, if I don't know if it's been a while, I've seen that in Vegas before I started hypnosis. And that was my
Mhm.
question when I was studying. So here's what
Yeah.
happened. Anybody who's seen that, if you remember, they will ask about 20 people to get on stage. Okay.
Mhm.
And then they will start shrinking them down to 4 or 5. So what happens is, when you ask people to go on a stage, when somebody raises their hand, they are more than willing to become a subject under review and under scrutiny from everybody else, and to be on display, if you will. So everybody goes up, and then the hypnotist will start asking questions, and he will start eliminating people. So the people who remain are either people who have a religion that is extremely what's the word, conservative, and they
Mhm.
really need anything to breathe for a minute. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. Okay, it
Mhm.
is what it is. We all know that, right? Or they
Mhm.
have a job that it puts them under a lot of pressure, and they always need to keep that, that demeanor of the person who is in charge, or the boss, or the CEO, or whatever. And they wanna what's the expression, like, let their hair down, right?
Mhm.
Or these are people who, when you go out party, they're the ones who are gonna hop on a table and dance, because they like to be centers of attention. So these
Yeah.
are the three types of people who will remain, and a hypnotist will be very sharp to know who to pick. Now, these people are willingly giving you control over their actions because of whatever I mentioned. So they know that they are gonna do, and that will allow it. So I've learned tricks where I can stand in front of you and just hypnotize you in a minute, where you go. So it can happen. But when you come to a session, I don't know if you saw the movie, I think The Hypnotist, it's called, or Hypnotized, or something. It came out like a couple years ago. And those movies now, because I do what I do, they bother me, because they give like a totally different experience, and
Mhm.
they will let people get afraid of hypnosis, because
Mhm.
the hypnotist lets her murder her husband or something, like, or her boyfriend or something. So if you dig into that, this can happen if you work with the same hypnotist or hypnotherapist for 20 years. So yes, maybe at a point you give so much control that you get so much deep in hypnosis that this may be the case. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But when you come and you have a session or two or three or 10, or a session every week for a year, that is not going to be the case. But
Yeah.
if you come to me and I say, hey, let me put you on stage and let's do this, it's going to be fun. Yes, then you're allowing me, because it's going to be fun, and you're going to act silly. So you're
I
giving
saw
your
some of them
approval
doing
to act
silly
silly.
things, like,
Yes,
dancing funny and that kind
yes,
of stuff,
yes. And it's all for silly, it's entertaining. But
Yeah.
when you raise your hand, you're volunteering to be the
To
entertainment of the
be on
evening.
display. Ah, I
So yes,
understand. Thank
this
you for.
is not an act. It's not an act. It's real. But again, like I
Yeah.
would never volunteer. I'm not somebody like if I want to actually, I actually on my own. So I'm not
Yeah, me
somebody
too.
who's interested in that. But there
Yeah.
are some kind of people who are like, oh my God, I'm here, might as well. And it's an excuse for them to say, I didn't do it. I was hypnotized. So
Yeah. Oh, I understand. Yeah. Thank you for
yeah,
explaining all of that. And
sure.
hello to all of our guests who have joined us as well, too. I see you all here. So I just want to let you know I see you and I love you. And I'm so happy that you're here, too. And I also remember a story where I was doing a past life regression. Overall, pretty happy with it. But there was a moment where the regressionist was arguing with my subconscious mind about something.
What?
And then finally she let
Why?
it go. Finally she agreed, but I was like, fortunately, because I'm used to going into trance, I could stay, I could stay in the level of hypnosis.
No comment. No, no comment.
She's trying to get me to break a contract, and I'm like, nope, this can't be
Yeah, I
done. This
know.
is
No,
not
no,
possible.
that's why I said you have to be careful. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
Like I went through it because when I was in California, I was with this community, and we used to have a fair the last Saturday, I think, of every month. And I really love to be like I can do self hypnosis, but it's not the same. So I'm always looking for somebody to work on me. So there was this lady, and she's like, "Oh, I can put you through hypnosis." I'm like, "Yeah, that's great." So what she did, she actually was good at it, and because I understand hypnosis, I go instantly, right? And
Mhm.
I saw myself. I was a little boy in the beginning, and I remember like the scenery. It was like there's water and boats, like the very old days. And I remember seeing my sister. She had drowned, and I know that somebody had draped her before she drowned. So it was like very traumatic. And because of that, when I grew up, I married this woman, and I would not let my wife or my daughter leave the house because I became very traumatized because I've seen what happened. And at that time, my kids were learning how to drive in this life. And I'm like very always like, oh my God, don't go there and be, how it is like when they first start driving. And I'm freaking
Mhm.
out about, oh my God, maybe if they stay home. So I was having trouble letting go and trusting that, let go and let God. So that's why that life came, because I have been traumatized before because of something. But what happened, the time was up and she left me. So she woke me up. She didn't do the healing of the session. She did this session, and then the time was up, and she brought me out of hypnosis. And that is the biggest no no, because I carried the trauma with me. And luckily, I know, like, I understand hypnosis, but even though it took me 2 days to be able to shake it off myself and do self hypnosis, to be able to do the self healing for it and be able to let it go. But for 2 days, the images were there all the time. The feeling of that little boy losing the sister, and the feeling of that man struggling with the wife and the child, it was so heavy. So that was a very, very unprofessional thing to do, because if you cannot finish your session, if you cannot do the healing, or if you don't know how to do the healing, never get somebody in a previous life. It's very
Mhm.
traumatic.
Okay. This is good to know, so people make sure they always pick an ethical practitioner so they know what to look for
Absolutely.
and everything. Okay,
Absolutely.
beautiful. Thank you. All right. Um, you're willing to share a few stories with us as well, too, just to share.
Sure. If I can talk about the other thing that I do, which is QHHT,
Oh,
it's still past life
please do.
regression.
I have heard of
QHHT,
that with
yes, it's
Dolores Cannon.
quantum
Quantum.
healing hypnosis technique.
Yeah.
So when I was doing past life regression and all, you know how it goes. Like when you're meant to do something, if you are like, if they your guides keep poking you and you're like, okay, I'm not seeing it, they will kind of like shove it in your face. Every time I
Yeah.
open my phone, something will pop up about quantum, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, and I'm moving on because I was so happy practicing. But then it got to be too much. It was like really everywhere I looked, and I'm like, okay, I need to look into this. So I started looking into Dolores, and I was fascinated. So I did level one, and to do level one, you have to do 25 free sessions to do level two. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know where to do my 25 session. I can't tell you. I had 45 people volunteer, and I ended up doing all of them for free because I didn't know who to pick, and I felt it was unsafe because you do them for free, those.
Mhm.
So I'll share with you the first story because I was doing a session a day. And now I know that I will only do 3 sessions a week at the most. Because with QHHT, here's the difference. First of all, before I tell you stories, let me explain what it is, okay? So,
Okay.
first of all, a session is a full day, a full day. So, I will tell my clients uh, if you are committed to anything after, we can't pick that day. So, I will meet with them around 10 in the morning, and the session will take around 7 hours. Okay. Out
Oh.
of that, the hypnosis itself is 2 hours. Because what happens is they will come to me, I will ask them to write down all the questions they want answered, all the healing they want done. It has to be legible, and it has to be something I can read under dim light. Okay. So let's say, okay, I have a backache that nothing is curing. I have these migraines I can't get rid of, whatever it is. And why do I have such a relationship with my mom, or why is my relationship failing? Whatever it is, on every level. Okay, so these sessions are like a life healing until that point. So usually when you do that session, I don't see you again until maybe a couple years down the line if you want to do another session because you collected more on the way.
Mhm.
Or some people, it takes them 5 years to come back. Okay, because the healing is so complete, it's so miraculous, it's just out of this world. Okay, so they come with their questions. Now the way I was trained is to read the questions at the end. I learned, and I actually
Mhm.
went to Sedona, and I had a retreat with their family, with Dolores's daughter and everybody, and it was amazing.
Mhm.
And I brought it up in the retreat, and they're gonna change it because of what I said. Because if I read them in the beginning, I noticed that when I talk to you, because you're gonna sit there and I'm gonna tell you, okay, Jennifer, we're gonna go back to your very first memory of life. What do you remember? And you start telling me from that point until now. So your life story, literally everything. Now, the good
Mhm.
thing about reading the questions is that you may tell me about something that is so big, and I look at the questions and I go, "Okay, wait a minute, why isn't this here? Why aren't we at, like, this is traumatic?" And they go, oh my God, I forgot. I totally forgot to write it down. And we add questions. But if we
Mm.
read it at the end, then
You may have missed
after
it.
listening to
Yes.
you for 5 hours, I'm not going to remember, what to add. But I go through the questions because if I read the question, I need to understand the circumstances. So when you are in hypnosis, I can handle it the best way I can. So this is crucial. And I've had a lot of clients who will text me later and say, if we didn't do the session, if we stopped after telling you my life story, that was healing enough. Because I mean, think about it. Have you ever sat down and ran over your life from the very first memory you had when you were a child until then? We don't do that. We never do that. And it's literally like, and I will bring you back, and that's where intuition comes in handy. Because I remember one of my clients, like, she did the childhood, and then we went to school, and I kept having this nagging feeling, like, is that all before school? And she kept saying yes. And I know myself, when I fixate on something, there's more. And I kept asking,
Mhm.
wait, is that all? Is that? And then she goes, oh my God, I forgot my uncle molested me. And I'm like, well,
Um,
that's a big one. And it wasn't in the questions,
Yeah.
it wasn't in the story. So you have to help your client visit everything, because you never know what you're going to be dealing with when we go back into a previous life.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
we may
So
have
we
some
do,
repressed
yes.
memories. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Ah,
Now,
okay.
even repressed memories may not come out. They may come out later. But when they tell you, when you help them connect their life together and you ask questions, and usually they call it the interview. I don't like that. I call it the visit. So I sit down and I sit very casually with them, and I make it very easy to talk, and we start sharing, they start talking. The thing I hear the most is, oh my God, I've never told this to anyone. You don't know how many times I hear this. Oh my God, I've never talked about this with anyone. And this is already very healing for them to get it off their chest. So I listen to the whole story, right? And then we start hypnosis. Okay. And that goes for 2 hours. So I take them to a previous life. And if that life is enough for me, if I feel like we covered plenty and I got plenty of it, then I move to the second part. If not, I may take them to 3 different past lives. Okay. And we do the whole life. We do the life from wherever they are until they die. So we have to go through the death scene, how they died. And it's not traumatizing at all. If it is, again, I ask them to be observers. It's a very, very, they go so deep that it's very relaxing. And by the way, I record the whole session from them. I don't record the induction because I don't want them fall going into hypnosis when I'm not with them. But the minute we start talking, I start recording and I send the recorder so they can, because they may forget a lot of things. They may remember, not remember. I don't know. So the most interesting part is when we're done with this. Okay, I'm gonna use your name. Okay, so we're done with the past life. I will go, Jennifer. Do you allow me to talk to your higher self? And you will say yes. And I wait for your higher self to step up. And then you, as Jennifer, you channel your higher self with me. So you start talking to me in third person about you. And you don't know how many times I've heard higher selves go, I keep telling her she is so stubborn. She never listens. I mean, it is so, it's just mind
That's
blowing.
funny.
Okay. It is. I mean, higher selves they have such a sense of humor. And it is so amazing. So the first thing I will do, I will ask the higher self to scan your body. Okay. And as they are scanning your body, I ask them, is it okay as you're scanning the body, like Jennifer's body? Jennifer has a list of questions. Can we go through them? And the higher self will always say yes. And I will start asking. So, okay, so we're going to go to Jennifer's childhood, and she was wondering why this happened, that happened, whatever. And you get all the answers to your questions. And the answers are so healing. And then every few minutes, I will ask, are you done scanning? And I will get something like, no, I found a little tear maybe in the stomach. And I look at my notes and there's no stomach pain. So it's not there yet. But the higher self will find it and will fix it. So I'm working on the stomach right now. I just want to make sure everything's okay with the stomach before I move on to the rest of the body. So, and as they're scanning, I will say, okay, so let's give extra attention to the knees because Jennifer said her knees are hurting pretty, whatever, like I will go by the list with the physical. And then we do a scan of the whole body. And then we ask all the questions. And then I will ask at the end, do you have anything you want to tell Jennifer? And the higher self may say something like, you know what, you keep pushing to do this. It's not time. You have to take a breath, whatever it is, And then I will bring my client out. Now, I want to say something very important here, and this is one of the miracles that happened with me. Okay, so I had back surgery a few years back, and then my mom was bedridden, and I lifted her. So I hurt my back pretty bad. I went back to the doctor. We had the MRI, and we can't do any more surgery on the back. Okay, and he said, if we do surgery, then you cannot bend down anymore. There's a risk of getting paralyzed. And they had a plan for me. So the epidural and then implanting something in my body. And I'm nodding with a smile. And he's like, are you okay? This is not good news. And I said, I don't care. I'm going to Sedona and I'm going to have a past life regression there with QHHT. And I know I'm going to be fine. And I said, you can roll your eyes all you want. You're a doctor. And surprisingly enough, he said, no, I believe in all this because I know I have a lot of patients that I send to hypnosis because I can't stop the pain. And he said, I will ask you for one thing. If you do a session and your body heals, I want you to come back to me and I want to do an MRI and I want to compare them. I said, okay, that was the deal. So before I went to Sedona, I had a client and I asked my client because Jennifer, I was shuffling. I couldn't lift my feet off the floor. And I was on a walker. I mean, I was in bad shape and I was getting worse and worse by the day. I mean, it was a time that I really don't like to remember. And so I had a client and she was super nice. So I asked her, I said, are you okay if at the end of your session, I ask your higher self for healing? Because I'm sure you know that all our higher selves are one big consciousness. So it's not like you have your higher self and I have my higher self. Yes, you have your higher self that knows everything about you, takes care of you, and I have but they're all connected as one big consciousness.
Yep.
So I said, is it okay? Because I'm asking permission. I'm not going to waste her time but I was gonna ask just for healing. That's it. And she said, of course, Hiba, do whatever you want. When I was done with her session, it was amazing. I said, I already asked Jennifer, let's say, for permission, and she allowed me to ask you for healing. Is it okay that I ask for healing for my back and legs? And my client went, of course. That's it. That's it. Okay. I said, thank you. We sent the higher self back. We thanked the higher self, brought my clients back, and that was it. The next day,
Wow.
I remember shopping, and I remember thinking, gosh, my legs hurt because I'm shopping. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, my legs hurt because I'm walking. I did not even realize I was walking again. I was jumping on the stairs. I couldn't even go up the stairs. I would sit down and go up on my butt, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Wow.
back to normal. So I went straight to my doctor,
Wow.
and we had the MRI. And when I went to see him, he came and gave me a hug. He said, "Had I not talked to you about this, I would have called the MRI place and told them you sent me the wrong results because I'm looking at a totally different back." He said, "Your bone shifted, your nerve shifted, your back shifted." And every time I go to the States, I want to remind myself to go grab the two CDs. I want to put them on my website, and I keep forgetting. And that you have to remind me next time I contact you over there. But that was a miracle that happened with me. Like that is my own testimonial. And I
Amazing.
was not the one going through the session. I was just
Yeah.
the facilitator. And all I did is I asked for healing for me. And I called my client the next day and I was crying and I'm like, I'm walking, I'm walking. Because when she saw me, I was on a walker. And I told her I
Yeah.
asked for healing. So it is amazing. It's amazing.
Wow. Oh my God, that's fascinating. That
Yeah.
is
Now
fascinating.
I've heard this story. It did not happen with me, but Susan, there's one of the practitioners who is a
Uh,
level 3. She talks about this lady who came to her with one leg shorter than the other, and she left with both legs the same length.
oh
She had a
wow.
birth defect, and when she was wearing her shoe, because one shoe had higher heel, she was
Mhm.
limping, and she's like, I don't know why I'm limping, and she took the shoes off, and she had like her. I mean, and I believe it. I don't doubt it for a minute because when you can heal a headache, you can heal cancer. I mean, it's all energy. So
Wow.
when this can happen with me, I don't see why it can't happen with somebody else. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
amazing.
that's
Yeah.
extraordinary, extraordinary.
Yeah.
And it's so quick too. So that's just yeah,
Yes. Yes.
I'm thank you for sharing that too.
When
And
I go to California, maybe I'll give you a QHHT session.
I would take you up on that. I would put all my
Yes.
trust in you. Absolutely, absolutely too. Thank you. And
Yes.
okay, I gotta ask because you know me, I'm a romantic. Any love
Yes.
story, past life things?
Well, I've had actually I've had like heartbreaking things
Mm,
where I've had lovers lose like one partner, and that is why in this life they every time they're in a relationship they self-sabotage it because they are so
mm,
afraid of losing their partner because of the trauma
mm,
that happened because it was in a war and they watched their
yeah.
partner being killed and all that stuff. So that's why. So if you will, it is a good ending because after that they find partners that they keep and they have a happy ending in this life. But when you have a pattern that keeps repeating, I mean, I'm sure you know that
Hmm.
patterns are our
Hmm.
biggest
They do.
wake up call that something is off. Something is off. If the pattern keeps repeating itself, it's not a coincidence. There are no coincidences, especially with major patterns in your life. So when you go through something like this, it's because it's because something happened, whether in this life or
Mhm.
in a previous life. And that I saw that in the QHHT. And the question was, what about the pattern? And I always ask the questions, although when we went through the past life, I could see clearly why it is. But we asked the higher self and we got confirmation that it's because you have this fear of loss. So you self sabotage. You never allow yourself to be fully committed because in your subconscious mind and in your memory from a previous life, you're going to lose that person in a very traumatic way. So you kind of self-sabotage never to get to that point.
Ah, oh my
And the last
goodness.
session I
Yeah.
did, this trip, I gave a friend of mine a QHHT session. It wasn't QHHT, it was more of a past life regression. What happened was she wasn't being able to get pregnant. And when we did the session, we did not attach anything to it. We didn't say, okay, take us to the life that shows us this, that, or the other. I said, do you want to pass life? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we went in it very organically. But your
Mhm.
higher self is very smart, and it knows what you're struggling with the most. Okay. So whatever you want the biggest answer for is where you go if you don't ask for something in particular. So what happened was when I do a past life regression, one of the very first questions I ask when you step into that life, I will ask you to look down at your feet, okay? And I will ask you, what do you see? Okay, I
Mhm.
see my feet. So are they big? Are they small? Are they adult? Are they kids? Are they male? Are they female? Okay, she saw female feet. Okay,
Mhm.
are they old? She said, I'm in my 20s. Right now, she's late 40s, I think. So I said, are you wearing anything? And this is how you can pinpoint where you are, what
Mhm.
era you're in. And she said, I'm wearing these silly wooden shoes. And the first thing that came to my mind, I don't know if you know the Heidi story. She was in the mountains of
Yes.
Switzerland.
Yes.
And my dad
Yeah.
used to read us this story when we were kids. So
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, okay, she must be in Europe. So I said, do you know, like, is your country flat? Or she said, no, I'm up in the mountains. I'm like, okay, check, you know. And so we went through the whole life, and she described the hut that she was living in. It's more like a cabin type. She said it's all
Mhm.
made of stone, but the windows had like these wooden rims. And we went through it. I'm not going to get much into details for the sake of time. But at the very end, she was holding her child who passed. Her child,
Oh.
died in her arms. Okay. And because that child died, she stopped herself from connecting with anybody else. She didn't want more kids. She didn't want more partners. She wanted nothing. She just wanted a peaceful life. She actually stopped living in that side of the house that reminded her of the kid and moved to this one room that was totally remote. She had nothing in it, but it gave her peace. So she was there. So at the very end, I asked, I was going through the healing phase. So I always have them talk to the child and talk to, like, as you are now, I will say, go talk to Jennifer in that life and tell her this and give her compassion, whatever I'm saying. So I said, do you
Mhm.
know what the child's name is? And in my head, I'm thinking, please don't say Giorgio or Johnny, because I know we are in Europe, like in the end. She said, Hansel. And I
Oh.
grabbed my phone, and she's still in it. I grabbed and I put, is Hansel a Swiss name? And I got, yes, Hansel can be a Swiss name or a German name. So everything kind of comes together. And then when she was out, she said, I've never heard the name Hansel before. So it's not your conscious mind. It is you are. She was in Switzerland. She was up in the mountains. And you see how things come together. So it's not like I'm gonna
Yeah.
find somebody who's wearing wooden shoes working on the computer. And I even asked her, "Is there a stove?" And that she said, "There's no stove. There's like a little place where I can warm. So I always kind of like try to figure out if they are solidly in that life. And they always say, like, sometimes I say, "Do you have glass?" Because I don't know what glass is because they were in the era before glass. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow. That is
Yeah,
amazing. That is fascinating. Um, do people ever go into the future?
I do future progression. I do. This is
Oh,
something that
okay.
Dolores Cannon also teaches. It's future life
Mhm.
progression. I like it, but um, you have to understand. Like when somebody asks me for it, usually you have to ask per Dolores, do you want to do a 1 year progression, 3 year progression, or 5 year progression? Okay.
Mm,
But
okay.
you have to understand if that person is going to pass away in a year and you do a 3 year progression, they will see nothing in this life. And I
And
am not
they know
comfortable
too
telling them,
much.
oh, that's because you're going to be dead. So I don't do
Yeah.
it. I prefer not to do it. I will only do it if I have a client who understands the risk, who knows what it entails. And it is extremely helpful. I did it with a group of, I used to give classes in California, and they all wanted a progression class. And luckily, everybody saw their future life. I didn't have to deal with that. But one of the ladies there saw herself in bed at the hospital with heart issues. And, it was really um, like
Yeah.
she was terminal. And we were doing, I think, a 1 year progression. And after that, we talked about it, and I recommended that, because I trust my work, and I trust when, like, I can tell when somebody is not really deep, and their conscious mind is kind of, sometimes the conscious mind gets really funny and
Filters.
interferes, but you can tell
Yeah.
it kind of goes in and out,
Mhm.
in and out, in and out. But I could
Yeah.
tell it's real. So I insisted that she gets checked. She didn't want to get checked. So she ended up, I think, buying those watches that monitor the heart and everything.
Hmm.
I ended up seeing her last year when I went to California, last time. So about 5 months ago, she came and visited me, and she told me that she had heart issues and she was at the hospital, and it was caught last month. I said, "What happened?" She said, "I looked at my watch, and it told me that my heartbeat was so low, and I called my daughter, who's a nurse, and you should come straight to the hospital." And she went to the hospital, and if it wasn't caught on time, it would have been fatal. But they ended up doing, I don't remember, stint or whatever, and she's good. I
Yeah.
mean, she's good. She's
So
safe.
we were able to prevent something too.
Yes. So
Okay.
I like future life progression, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's I'm very uncomfortable if they don't see anything, because,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie, like if they say, why can't I see, that's why I try not to even mention them to my clients, because I prefer not to do
Yeah.
them. But if
Yeah.
they insist, I will do it, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay. And I had another question too. What about going into a lifetime after this lifetime? Does that ever happen? Like who's
Well,
my soul also going to be like, you
I've
know,
never tried
after
that.
I'm
I have never tried that, again, for the same reason, because sometimes you may ascend, so this life is not over. So let's say you are here to learn a lesson. Okay, let's say you have 5 lessons, you've learned 4, you have one left. So if you have one left now, we may go into a life, but you may learn your lesson, and you may have a choice to ascend. So if you ascend, that life becomes moot. So that's why I don't like to do them, because your life is not over, and you don't know if I don't know where you are in your progress, and I don't know if
Mhm.
you're done. I would like to be done this life and not do this again,
I think a lot of
you
people
know?
would. I've heard plenty of people say, "I
Absolutely.
don't want to come back. I'm done." And I'm just like, "Well, your soul will make another lifetime, but you're still you going on into, But yeah,
Now,
but you're just like, no.
yeah, that reminded me. I do something called super conscious healing, but when I started doing past life, I
Uh-huh.
gave it up, because I mean it's great, but to me, these are more healing, and the clients will get more out of them. So
Mhm.
the super conscious healing is, I am healing you also on the soul level. So when I
Mhm.
do it, I do every level. I do emotional level, physical level, auric level. I mean, all of them. And I do a future life level. My son is the only one that, when I was doing it, because every time I get to the healing, I will ask the super conscious mind, uh, can we do future life healing for Anthony, my son? Okay. And I got a no. And I said, why? And they said, because he doesn't have any more. So I know he's ascending.
Mm.
He's lucky. He's the
Wow.
only one I got an answer for. The only
Oh,
one.
wow.
Other than that, I've
Interesting.
done the future life healing, and I've gotten a yes for everybody except for him.
Oh, wow.
So, but that's
Okay.
not like telling somebody you're gonna die. We're talking about future life. So if he ascends, he ascends, and if he doesn't, it's
Yeah.
not like he's gonna remember. But it was interesting, because that was the only experience I've had where I got a no for him. He was
Interesting.
happy.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
jealous.
I know. I've
He was
met so
like,
many
yeah,
people
I'm
who are
done,
like, I
mom.
don't want to do another lifetime,
I know, right?
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so that I remember doing, but I haven't done those in a long, long time. It's just I feel like I what I do now is because for the client, you're doing the healing, but they're not getting. I mean, of course, when you have a client who comes to you, the more information they get, the more the heal. You feel like they will accept the healing more because if they're not in the field, obviously, and they're coming to you, it gives them kind of quote unquote proof that this is happening. When you do that kind of healing, I'm doing all the work, and it's a very long tedious session, and they're just in hypnosis. So if their conscious mind gets in and refuse the healing, it's not the same as when they feel something, they go through something that they will remember forever, and they feel it. So
Oh, beautiful. Oh, this has been so interesting and so educational
yeah,
for all of us too, to learn more about how this works too. And
yeah. You
is
can
there
tell
any,
how
can you,
passionate I am about this. I
I
mean,
can, I know,
I
that's
come a lot.
wonderful.
I love it.
Is
Yeah.
is there anything people can do kind of like in between sessions if they're like, I had a past life regression and I did a lot of work, but now it's like 6 months later, I'm not quite ready for another one yet, but I have
Actually,
something
you can
else
do a past
out.
life regression every day. Every
Oh,
day.
wow. Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering
Yeah.
if there's anything people can do like
No, no.
to
I mean, you
release.
can
Yeah.
you can make a list of what you want to release, because
Uh-huh.
if it's a laser focus, like I want to work on this, then you'll
Hmm.
know. But
Yeah.
obviously, since we had plenty of lives, when I was practicing, I would just practice on all my friends. Hey, you want to have a past life? Yeah. So we would just gonna go randomly
Yeah.
to any past life and come
Hmm.
back. So because you have so many lives, it's so interesting to gonna go through them and, oh my gosh, I was this, I was
Yeah.
that, I did this, I did that. But if you're really like serious about healing yourself with so many
Hmm.
things, then what you can do is kind of make a list and say, okay,
Hmm.
I want to have a past life regression and understand this. Why, you know, what like I have a major phobia of bugs. I have a feeling maybe I was buried and the bugs were eating my face. I don't know, because I've lived the war, and that did not like it doesn't mean it doesn't scare me, but I am more afraid of bugs than hearing the bombing over my head. The bugs are like my cripple. So I'm sure there's a story there, but I'm not even sure
Yeah.
I'm ready to see it, because I don't think I
Yeah.
want to see them kind of why I have. But you know what I mean? Like you can figure out what
Yeah.
is hindering your life, what is hindering your
Hmm.
progress, why do you have this fear of this. Some people are afraid of swimming, some people are afraid of,
Hmm.
there are so many, flying maybe, or whatever. So if you want to have a list, then you can kind of go through them one by one. Or you can just
Ah.
do it and trust your higher self to just say, I want to have a past life regression, and I want to trust my higher self to deal with the issue that is most pressing. Because your higher self,
Mhm.
sometimes you think this issue is more pressing, but this issue is more pressing because it is creating this issue. You know what I mean? So some
Mhm.
people just come and go, you know what, let's do this. And we have nothing in mind.
Oh, that's
But
wonderful.
QHHT
Yeah.
is different. QHHT needs preparation. You have to kind of
Mhm.
write what you want. When you come to me, I will send you something, a little something to watch beforehand. Then when you
Mhm.
come, you need to be very comfortable. You need to get comfortable talking. You need to be able to talk about your life, talk about things that you're not comfortable talking about. So it's very evolved. Do we have time if I want to share something really quick? I'm not sure where
Sure.
we are on the
Yeah,
time.
sure. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
So I want to share with you. I had this one client who told me about his life. Okay, so he was. I mean, I feel comfortable talking about them because I'm not saying names. I'm just talking about
Mhm.
experiences. Okay,
Right.
so he was a drug dealer in this life, and he's gone through a lot. Went to prison so many times, and then when I met him, he was actually on the other side. He is sober. He helps others being sober. Okay, so he told me plenty of really heartbreaking stories, but he missed one. Okay. So he missed the fact that he sold his friend drugs that ended up killing him. And that's a big one. So I don't know anything about that, right? So we go into the past life regression, and we did the first life, and then the second life, he's a bird, and he goes into this rundown hospital, and then he tells me, I'm seeing so and so, like he gives me a name, let's say George, right? And this is George, and he's crying, and I don't remember hearing of a George. There's no George. I don't know who George is. And that's why you need to kind of keep your intuition like your antennas are up, because you need to know what to do with the situation. Like the stories I know, if he tells me a name, I know what to do with it. Or even if it's not the same name as this life, but if it's the same circumstance, then you know the components. Okay. But here I am, like, I have no idea who George is. And I said, and he's crying. And I said, okay, like I'm walking him through it. Turned out that the guy he saw is the father of his friend who died. And then you have no idea how much mediumship happens in these sessions, because the friend came over and he was able to apologize, and the spirit stepped in. And I've had somebody else's mom spirit stepped in. So there's so much mediumship in the work. When there's a spirit in this life that the person is struggling a lot with self-forgiveness, or like stories that are really weighing on you. Like this guy, he couldn't apologize to his friend, and he couldn't apologize to the dad, and he's been carrying this, and he doesn't talk about it because he doesn't forgive himself, and obviously it's a big one. So that was the biggest breakthrough that happened in that session, and that came from something he did not talk about, but I was able to kind of understand it and go through it and maneuver it, and then we were able to make it happen. And then I have one person, I will, every time I see him, I go, anytime you have time, I will do his sessions for free, because he is such a huge soul that he connected with the dolphins, and the whole session was and he allowed me, by the way, to transcribe it and post it, and I think I'm gonna have to do that at some point, because I still have, he has the recording, and he gave me permission to transcribe it. If I tell you the words of wisdom the dolphins gave us, him and I, about the world and what's happening and what's gonna happen and why it's happening and all that, his sessions are just unbelievable. And he always comes out, he needs a lot of time. Like I always give him food so he can get grounded again and centered, because he's very loopy. And the whole session, you can tell something is happening, because for 2 hours, his head goes like this and like this. It's like an antenna receiving messages. So the dolphins were his family, and he was crying because he missed them. It was one of the most amazing sessions I've given.
Wow. What did the dolphins say about humanity?
I don't remember. This is I think about 3 years ago, but I remember they were talking about the struggles that and they were telling me it's going to get worse, which it is getting worse.
Which it has.
And yes, and that that we are going through this because people need to wake up, and they're not waking up. So sometimes you don't wake, and it's funny because it was something like, you don't know you're sleeping until you wake up. That's how you know you were sleeping, because if you're sleeping, you don't know you're sleeping. So so at some point they have to up the dose and show things that will shock humanity, because humanity is obviously not everybody, but people are still kind of doing this, and they're going, I don't see anything. So it was very even the language is very profound. So it's not like words that, they're not talking in fluent English. They're talking more in more sophisticated language, I'm sure you've channeled, how the language changes. It becomes extremely sophisticated, like words that you don't use on a daily basis. But you know what? I'm glad I mentioned that, because I'm going to transcribe it and I'm going to post it.
Yes,
because
please,
it was really, really
do.
good. Yes. I will let you know when I do. I will actually tag you in it or something.
Okay, perfect. Thank
that
you.
way, if somebody's watching and they're interested, they can always see it. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm so happy you mentioned that, because myself and some colleagues of mine are really trying to remind people not to do this to what the problems in the world. And I know that we we don't want to get, too sad because we're worried what's going to happen to our vibration or anything. But problems don't go away if you ignore them. And so there
You
is
want
a
to put
fine
yourself in my shoes in Lebanon?
line.
You want to try being me?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Problems don't go away when we ignore them. So we
yeah,
have to, and if we want to call ourselves spiritual beings who are trying to, bring the light to humanity and
yes,
raise the frequency, we have to be willing to look at the dark and look what's in there and do it with strength and embodiment and say,
yes.
okay, this is what we're dealing with. We've got some work to do.
Yeah,
We've
if
got
I
some
mean, if
healing
you're
to
gonna
do.
spread
Yeah,
awareness and you're gonna elevate consciousness and
yeah.
you're gonna do all that, I mean, and that's why
Mhm.
I think and we talked about this, you and I don't know why I'm here in Lebanon. I know
Mhm.
I'm meant to be here. I know I was sent
Mhm.
here, and I know I'm on a mission, and I truly believe it is mostly about, nudging people a little bit gently to just kind of like
Mhm.
look at things in
Yeah,
a different perspective,
yeah. Mhm.
because this is a country
Exactly.
that suffered a lot and it's still suffering a lot, and the war is nonstop and all that stuff. And there's a lot of help needed. And if you can do your part, even if it's just a little bit, it's a nudge. And maybe that person will nudge
Mhm.
another person, and it's the ripple effect that will bring about the change. So you do
Exactly.
what you can and you
Mhm.
keep doing it. So, and that's
Exactly.
why I
Thank you.
love these
Yeah.
podcasts, and I know I love
Yeah.
what you do, because that's how you spread awareness. That's how
Yeah.
else is your voice going to be heard? So
I'm trying hard. Show by show, one by
yes,
one
you're
too.
doing a
Yeah.
great job.
And that does remind me, I posted on my Facebook page is the Heart Math Institute, which is located in California. They've done some fascinating research on the power of the heart and heart coherence. Today, they're doing this global heart coherence movement around the
Wow,
world. I believe it's at 8 p.m.
nice.
Pacific time, so it'll be like 4 a.m. in the UK.
Yeah, it
But
could
you
be
can
6
download
a.m.
their
where I
app
am.
so that you're kind of live with the situation. But even if you don't want to download the app, you can just go and see what time it is and know you're connecting with the rest of the world to send healing and
Right,
love to all
right.
the people that need it. And the timing is good because the energies this week, this eclipse is just fascinating and awestruck too.
Right.
But I can feel into what the collective energies are doing, and I'm like, whoa, there's healing. People need healing. The children need healing, and I could feel it, and it was bringing me to tears at times too. So I'm happy that we can bring some awareness that um, to remember, not to forget, not to turn a blind eye, and we can do it in such a way that our frequency gets even higher. It
Yes,
gets
yes,
even higher
absolutely.
because we're not coming from a place of fear. We're coming from a
Right,
place of deep compassionate love, saying,
right.
I can do this. I am brave enough to look, and I am
And
brave enough to
don't you?
send
I'm
light to
wondering,
it.
just curious. Do
Yeah,
you get messages from clients, or like telling you, I feel like I can't get up and I'm beat? Like I get so many of these messages. Like everybody's
yeah,
so worn out. It's like they're
yeah,
drained, and you have to kind of
hmm
explain a little bit about the eclipse and all that stuff and the energies. But I
yeah,
feel like for people to uh, become so attuned with how their body is feeling and link it to
mhm,
some spiritual factor, I think is amazing. Because
yeah,
when they contact me, I love it, because okay, they're getting there, they're getting to understand that okay, something must be happening with the energies, and these are expressions that I never heard from them before. So it
yeah,
warms my heart, because this is how I know that the awareness is kind of like growing. And now I get calls every time somebody hears about somebody who does any type of spiritual people. We met somebody, so I love it, I love it. I know that my circle is growing, and I know that we're getting somewhere. And I remember you told me in California, I don't know how you worded it, but you said we're being spread around the world or something like that. I don't remember
hmm
what you said, but that's
the
very
grid.
true. And I feel
hmm
like you go on a mission, and when you feel like I'm getting there, there's such a feeling of ultimate joy that
It
is,
is.
it's amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and we are definitely on this collective mission, and
Yes.
so many of us volunteered to do this. And so the awakening is coming off layer by layer. Even for those of us who've, been on this rodeo for a while too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're forming this, huge giant grid of light, and it's connected with the earth, and with,
Right.
because the earth
Right.
has this intelligent, right? But
Right.
it's interesting because, and they showed it to me, it's like the vibration finally gets so high like this, that the density can't even hold on anymore. And so this is how we're ascending. Oh, I got chills with that too. And we're all part of it, so that
Yes.
means, we've got work to do, and we can't do this, take it, we can take it in the doses that our nervous system is able to handle.
True.
But this is coming in, our warrior spirit within us, our heart warrior, our love warrior,
Yeah. And you know
And
what
so,
I like for those skeptics out there, because when we talk
yeah.
about, energy and vibration, and you get the eye roll and everything, it's
Mhm.
when they post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever about the Schumann resonance, and they show,
Yes.
like, literally they're showing scientifically that the vibration of the earth and the frequency are changing, and they've never been seen before. And they look at it, they're like, oh, something's happening. Well, yes, that's what I've been talking about. That,
Right.
at
Yeah.
some point, I know the click will happen. It's like, okay, so she talks about it in a certain way, and this is me seeing it, like, they have to see it with their own eyes. So
Mhm.
I love when they keep posting them, and when we feel it on our own, and then it's confirmed, and then you can tell somebody, hey, remember what I told you yesterday? Look, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. And this is how you start also getting people
Mhm.
to understand maybe a little better what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I love
I
that so
remember when
much.
I
Yeah.
started, I was like, I would talk to people and wish they had subtitles explaining to me what they're saying, because I was hearing all these new words that I didn't understand, all
Mhm.
that. But I mean, I have compassion for them too, because I mean, I went through it, and it took me a little while, and my mind was all over the place. I was very confused and not understanding, but I think we're making much progress than before. I
We
see it
are, we
totally.
are. I see in my mediumship community where people used to only talk about spirit world. Now we're talking about ETs and
Yes,
I'm
yes.
like, well, it's just, how cool is this? This is wonderful. Like that box that, we used to be in is opened up to a whole
Yes,
new world. And we're like, let's
it's
talk about
amazing.
Pleiadians.
Yeah,
Have you
it's
channeled the
amazing.
Andromedans?
I know how one. Have you been to Mount
Uh,
Shasta?
Not yet. No, not
Oh,
yet.
I went during COVID when they shut everything down. I hopped in my car with a friend, and we drove 11 and a half hours. And
Mhm.
it's so amazing. I mean, if you go there, I'm sure you'll see them right there, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of seeings over there, and
Mhm.
there's also a lot of Saint Germain's, like the violet flame and all that. And
Mhm.
I mean, you go up the mountain, you hike, and it's just, you feel like you're in a totally different place, like you disconnected from Earth.
Like a portal. Yeah, I've heard it's very
Yeah, it is.
peaceful.
It has a lot of
Yeah.
portal, and it's full of vortexes as well.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
fabulous.
you have to go.
It's
It is really, it's one
fabulous.
trip. It is one trip that I think will stay with
Yeah.
me forever. I mean, I went
Oh,
to
wow.
Sedona, and it's amazing, but what resonated with me more was Mount Shasta. It's considered the root chakra of the world,
Is it?
Mount Shasta.
Wow. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Wow. Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you
Oh
have
my
to go. Yeah, if
gosh.
you go, let me know. If I'm there, I'll go with you.
Okay, I would love that. You got a deal. You've got a deal.
Yeah,
We'll make it happen.
yeah. It's
Um,
amazing.
This has been so fascinating. So now we know how to choose a good practitioner. And of course, you can choose Hiba, and you can do this like through Zoom or through the phone,
I
right?
can do past life regression through Zoom. QHHT has to be in person. So if there
Mhm.
are people interested
Okay.
in it, what I would do, I would kind of take names. And when I go to the
Mhm.
US, I will see everybody when I'm there, which
Ah,
I
okay.
have
That's
been
a great
going
idea.
quite often. But right now, I need a break. I'm super jet lagged. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. And there's many things they can work on, like physical healing,
Yeah,
phobias,
it addresses everything, just everything.
relationships, all kinds of
Yeah,
things. Just fascinating. This has been such
yeah,
a wealth of knowledge and information you've shared with us, and I love all the stories too. It's just been so
yeah.
wonderful. May I ask before we end our live here too, any final words that you'd like to leave with us all? And we have the banner here with your website,
Yeah,
so anybody can check in with you.
whenever I'm asked for final words, I always have the same ones. I want everybody to know that whatever you're going through, it's a page in your book. It is not how your life is supposed to be. So when you see somebody who's living through pain and living through whatever discomfort or physical ailment or whatever, there's healing out there, and you don't have to be like, I am a big fan of it is what it is. When it's something I can't control, I will accept
Mhm.
it and I will let go and let God. But when it's something that you can work on, there's always a way. And I don't want anybody to kind of like live this life not trying to become a better version of themselves, a healthier version of themselves, a pain-free version of themselves, a more enlightened version of themselves. And it's possible. It's possible. It's
Hallelujah.
possible. If it's possible that I am today walking, and you should see the heels I'm wearing tonight. If I'm wearing heels and I'm walking and I hike and I have a life again, then it's possible that every single one of us can do it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. That was just
Thank
perfect.
you, Jennifer. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me. You're amazing.
you are so welcome to, and don't leave us when we go after the credits. Stay after the credits with me too. But
Okay.
I also want to thank all of our guests here for coming in and staying on with us, and for all of your lovely comments and for all of your warm,
Yes, me
loving
too.
support too.
I can't see
Yeah,
comments or anything, but thank you for
yeah.
everybody who was listening
Yeah,
to us tonight.
yeah. We're so grateful for all of you too. I do wish you all a wonderful weekend coming up ahead too. And again, I will be on the Love Show with my guest producer of the Sacred Spiral Network, Kelly Brickle, this coming Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And thank you to Lori Smith, who's taking care of us in the background, making this all run so beautifully and smoothly too. So with that, everybody, please do live well, love you well, and always walk with grace. And we will see you next time on Embracing Infinity. Lots of love to
Bye.
everybody. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Hiba.
Thank you.